We got a lot of guests this morning. I got extra points for this. So we have, when we call your name, if you can please stand. Sherry Gordon.
Good morning, Sherry.
Amy Morris.
Morning, Amy.
Joe Freeman.
Morning. Morning.
Brian Byron Thompson's here again.
Morning, Byron.
We have Paul Rousback.
Good morning, Paul.
Lisa Striffler.
Good morning,
Mark Hodgkinson with us again.
Good morning, Mark.
Meredith Striffler.
Good morning, Meredith.
And we have a special guest, Nina Kleinblitz also.
Good morning.
Thanks, Todd. Welcome to our, actually, some of the people that are here this morning are our grant recipients, and we will hear from them in just a little bit. Others are prospective new members, and it's great to have you here. And some are just special guests that are here with Grandma, I'm assuming. Yeah. Well, let's give them all a nice warm welcome and thank you very much. I'm going to actually ask, before we go into our 50-50 or anything else, if Deb Kleinblitz would come forward. We have two new applications. I'm sorry, Elizabeth, if you would come forward. We have two new applications for membership, and Elizabeth is going to introduce them.
One more.
So, good morning, Northeast.
Morning.
It is my pleasure this morning to be able to introduce two dynamic women to our club. I think that Meredith and Lisa have a lot in common, and I think we're going to have to refer to them as Lisa and Meredith because their last names are going to be confusing. Striffler and Schreffler, and I think he's very talented. We'll stumble on that too. So, please join me in welcoming Meredith Schreffler, MBA, Vice President of Finance and Operations at the York County Community Foundation. In her role, Meredith ensures the responsible stewardship of the foundation's funds, oversees financial investment management, and leads strategic business operations. Her leadership supports the foundation's mission to create a vibrant York County by growing endowments and sustaining high-caliber customer service. Before joining the foundation in 2022, Meredith served as the Chief Financial Officer for York County, managing a $660 million budget and contributing to strategic planning initiatives. She brings a wealth of experience from both the nonprofit and private sectors, including oversight of the county's pension investment program. Meredith holds an MBA from Shippensburg University and a Bachelor of Science in Accounting from Penn State University. Beyond her professional endeavors, she enjoys traveling, bicycling, college football, watching movies, and spending time with her friends. And hopefully she made a couple new friends at her table this morning. Additionally, Meredith contributes to the cultural vitality of our community through her service on the board of directors for the York Symphony Orchestra. Please give a warm welcome to Meredith. Also welcoming Lisa Striffler, RN, MBA, and a seasoned healthcare professional with over 15 years experience in clinical research and project management. Lisa currently serves as a global project director at IQVIA. Do you say that in some way? Okay. A leading global provider of advanced clinical research in the healthcare arena. Lisa's background as a registered nurse combined with her MBA provides her with a unique perspective on both the clinical and business aspects of healthcare. Her commitment to improving patient outcomes and her expertise in global project management make her a valuable asset to the field of clinical research, always focusing on the person in front of her. I've come to know Lisa because she is a friend of my sister's, so I reached out to my sister, Kathy, for some more personal insights. Kathy says Lisa sees the need in people and wants to give back. Lisa grew up in Lancaster and has two sisters. She definitely has a sense of adventure and has been in various locations around the world for work and pleasure. As a matter of fact, we will not see her for the next 2 weeks because she is off on another of her travels. She enjoys yoga, kayaking, and curling up with her dogs in a good book. So Lisa, welcome to you too.
Welcome to both of you. It's great to have you here. And most of you will notice we're on a roll with new applications. Hopefully we continue to have a few more with the number of guests that we had for our a Taste of Rotary event. And it's great to see some new faces in our midst. So welcome to both of you. At this time, I'm going to ask if we will do our 50-50 drawing now that it's totally wrapped up. Congratulations, Karen. So with that, we'll roll into, does anyone have any happy dollars for this morning? I see Cher in the back. Here, Cher, I'll come to you.
Thank you, Greg. I have 5 happy dollars. 4 are for Scott Burford and the 2 other, the McCutcheon bagpipers that were out at the 5K run yesterday at Gold Star Garden, and the drummers. So 4 for him, and 1 for Jim Norton, who ran. And I would like to know from Jim if that music, the bagpipe music, inspired him on his run. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks, Cher. Blair.
I'm going to get ahead of the June newsletter. You'll see in the June newsletter that there are 2 esteemed Rotarians who have the same birthday. That's June the 11th. It would be Peter Lutz and myself. So here's $11. I will not be here for the next 2 weeks, so I'm celebrating early.
So we have to hit Pete up for his happy dollars.
Tell him he's got a match or double mine.
So I have a happy dollar for Cher Condor. GAL in Focus on Saturday night featured Gold Star mothers, and she was interviewed there, did a great job, and she promoted the Gold Star Garden as well. Good job, Cher.
$15 back. The first thing, I'm working 1 day this week, which is today, and I'm happy I'm off the rest of the week. We are going to a concert tomorrow in DC. It's outside, so we'll probably get soaked. I'm not looking forward to that. And secondly, I was telling the table today, we did have a good election last week, even though it was a primary, and the turnout was abysmal. But I ended up working as a judge of elections at the last minute, so it was a long day for me. But remember to get out there and vote, people, especially in local elections and off years. Local elections affect everybody more than the presidential.
Good, thanks, Karen. Liddell.
Thank you. I have 2 happy dollars. I got to celebrate my 53rd birthday yesterday, which is not a big event. The big event is this Friday. My youngest graduates, and I keep having these visions of a clean, quiet house with a lot of food in the refrigerator from this fall. So,
All right, Liddell, I'll give you a little hint.
they come back.
They do come back.
But for 3 months,
It'll be good, but then they come back and you have to really adjust to the refrigerator and the food and the cleanliness. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other happy dollars? Okay, very good. I'm going to ask if Chris Izzo would come forward. He is going to announce our grant recipients for this upcoming event.
Thank you, Greg. Yes, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Yes, it's my pleasure to present the grant awardees for our club this year. And I wanted to thank the York East Rotary Club for their generosity and their commitment to supporting the York community with these fine organizations as an example. And I would also like to thank the committee members who really gave a lot of effort and guidance this year, which I greatly appreciate. And they are Chris Pollock, Hunter Mink, Jeff Kyle, and Greg Kern. So thank you everybody for your support. And just always amazes me how much our club makes a difference in the community. So let's keep it rolling, and thank you for that. First up, I would like to have the Jill Schumann with friends and neighbors come up and just tell a little bit about the organization, and they are receiving a $1,000 grant this year.
Good morning, it's good to be here. Friends and Neighbors works with people experiencing homelessness. We do street outreach and actually literally go to people where they are and provide basic kinds of survival things like sleeping bags and hygiene kits and those sorts of things, but also build kind of trusting relationships and encourage people to take advantage of community resources that can kind of help them on their way. We also run a day center called the Beacon Resource Center. It operates 4 afternoons a week where people can get in, out of the weather, use the bathroom, get mail. We have mail, a post office box that people can use to receive mail there. We do support groups. We also have at least a dozen partners that come and spend time at the Beacon to meet with people, everything from WellSpan to UPMC Street Medicine to the Office on Aging, probation, parole, public defender, lots of different affordable housing advocates, lots of different organizations that come and then can meet with people. And again, we have an intensive case manager trying to help people move out of that really awful situation of not having a home. And we know that there are lots of barriers to being housed, especially we're seeing lots of people who are first-time homeless, older people, for example, whose Social Security benefit has remained more or less the same while the rents are rising. So I think, we see people across a very broad spectrum. I was just talking to the director of Life Path, which is the shelter. Over 50% of the people who are at that shelter are employed. So lots of people are working and still unhoused. So we really appreciate this grant. We'll use it for the day center. And again, thank you so much.
Next up, I'd like to have Diana, our very own Diana, who serves on the board. So she's going to present or talk about Papa's House. So if you would come up, Diana, thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
So Papa's House has done a presentation in the past of what they are. So I'm going to cut that part a little bit quick, but in case you didn't know, Papa's House welcomes patients with varying terminal diagnoses, personal situations, backgrounds, and reasons for choosing this option for their care. Those who may desire to live at Papa's House, they include people that don't have family living nearby, a dying person who doesn't have caregivers that are consistently available, an elderly person whose spouse can no longer keep up with the strain of care, a family who cannot afford to pay for home nursing care, or someone who chooses not to be in the family home as symptoms advance before they pass. So this grant, as we designed our permanent location for Papa's House, keeping that feeling of home was their utmost importance. Going from their modest 3-bedroom residential home in Red Lion to a much larger 8-bedroom commercial space, they recognized that it would be challenging to maintain that feeling. They strategized on what specific attributes appeal to the senses and create that feeling of home. And the smell of home-cooked meals and the warmth of family gatherings were that great importance to accomplish that. So over the fall, they introduced this family meals program. That program has become a popular way for volunteers to offer time and talents to Papa's House. planned a few times every month on varied days of the week and times of the day to accommodate various schedules. Volunteers choose a recipe that they would like to prepare. Some choose to cook their own favorite recipes, while others choose one of the residents' family recipes that they've compiled into a cookbook. Papa's House provides the ingredients, and volunteers come to the house to prepare the meal, filling the house with the smell of home cooking. Resident families, volunteers, caregivers, they're all invited to partake in the meal however they wish. Some more mobile residents choose to sit together at the dining room, allowing families and residents to share a comforting meal and connect with others on a common journey. Other residents host their guests at tables in their own private bedrooms. Regardless of where the meal enjoyed, the sense of togetherness with a house full of love is overreaching. So they plan to offer these family meals at least once a month in 2025, and will add more meals in the future if they're able to secure funding and volunteer support. So this grant means a lot to them, and on behalf of Papa's House, I just want to thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana. Next up, I would like to have Sherry Gordon come on up, if you would, please, from the pantry, which we're all very familiar with the pantry. So she's going to speak a little bit about what they're going to be using the funds for. And the grant to pantry is for $2,000.
Thank you very much. It's great to see so many familiar faces. Some of you are volunteers at the pantry. If you haven't been to our pantry, Catholic Harvest Food Pantry is 628 East Market Street. The back of our building is about 628 East Mason Avenue. And we've actually been in that location for 25 years, and 40 years at the end of this year, we've been in existence. So this is a celebration for us. And we're very blessed as we're working with families. We're seeing more and more families who are working, families who are in need of food. So we're providing monthly supplemental food for over 1,000 families, approximately 1,050 families, which Tim Kohler knows well because he counts those numbers for us each month. And more are working families that are just really struggling to make ends meet. And so we're seeing that we're there perhaps once in a while for a family, or every single month to support families who are in need of additional food to get through the month. You have to qualify financially. The beauty of what we're doing and what we've asked the Rotary for is for an extra refrigerator, a 2-door refrigerator that will help us when we have large donations, which we get regular donations on a weekly basis. But there are times like this past end of January when there was an egg shortage going around everywhere. We received a truckload of 3,700 dozen eggs. So we were able to share that with other pantries, and having an additional refrigerator will really make things like that easier when we have a large amount of things that come into our community that we can share amongst our various pantries to serve all of the families a little bit more equitably. So we're very grateful for the additional funds that you're giving to us. We've just changed our location look. We've updated things in the last week. We have a new flooring, and we have a perfect space for this refrigerator. So again, thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you at the pantry. Thanks.
Thank you, Sherry. And finally, I'd like to have Amy Jo Morris come on up and talk about the Glen Hope Farm, which Amy did a presentation last year, I believe it was. So welcome to talk about your, I'm sorry, and actually Amy, Glen Hope is our district match, which is a total of $5,000 this year. So we'll be hearing more about that, how the funds will be used.
Thank you. Good morning. Well, thank you for allowing me to be here this morning. And I just want to start out with a statement of gratitude. We are, words can't fully describe how grateful we are for this grant. This is a very grassroots project. As a military veteran myself and a nurse and a family of veterans, in 2018, I decided to transfer our farm into a nonprofit that serves the veteran community, marrying both healthcare and agriculture. So we help veterans to overcome challenges through on-farm activities, and we do that in many various ways. But our big project that is in front of us is a building of agriculture for veterans. So in 2022, we were designated a site for the VA OJT apprenticeship by the Department, the VA and the Department of Education, Pennsylvania Department of Education. So this new endeavor is a building for veterans where they can come, they can learn the skill and trade of farming. And it's not a new building. Our barn fell in the 80s, and my grandfather, World War II veteran, was not able to restore that building. So now, 7 years later, our hope is to bring veterans onto the farm to learn their skills and trade, but then we also open up our doors for the horticulture therapy, the animal husbandry, all of those therapeutic modalities that we've been using in the past. However, now we have season extension. We weren't able to implement all those things throughout the season because we didn't have a closed structure. So now we'll have a climate controlled structure, and we can continue to reach more veterans who are either struggling, maybe they're in a valley, maybe they are just looking for connection after their service time, because oftentimes we are, when we return from combat or from being deployed, we're looking for that familiarity of that military structure. And so we offer that. We offer a connecting place. We offer ways to just reconnect with the land and animals and center themselves and just have a place of peace and camaraderie. So again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We would not be able to do this without community support like you. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, we'll have a short group photo afterwards if you wouldn't mind hanging around. So thank you to York Rotary once again.
Thanks, Chris. So we've been announcing this for quite some time, but I want to congratulate all of our recipients of our grants, very deserving organizations that are doing a lot of good in our community. This past year, it was probably the absolute largest request that we received for from applications. I think our total dollar amount requested was $158,000. It was over $158,000 from 20 different organizations. So I want to thank our members for getting the word out to these organizations that are requesting the grants. But we obviously have a tremendous need that's right here in our local community to help, just help make it better. And obviously, each organization that has presented here this morning is making a big difference, maybe in a small way, or it may seem like it's a small way, but it's really helping to change a lot of lives. So let's just give a nice round of applause for each organization that is getting some of our money that we help to raise throughout the year. So give them a nice. So how do we raise that money? Come on, how do we raise it? Golf outing. Diana, you're on. Oh, I'm sorry.
What a perfect segue. Okay, before I forget, because I sorted this and lost my total. Our total right now is $15,350 out of our $20,000 goal. So we're almost there. A couple more weeks to go, but we still have some money to raise. So I'm just going to announce our sponsors thus far. We have 2 master sponsors, WellSpan and AMT Corp. ACE sponsors, we have James Craft & Son, York Tree Family, RKL, Wells Fargo Advisors, RGS Associates, Collins Wagner, and CNN Bank. Eagle sponsors, we have RBC Wealth, Men of September 7th, and someone else that I did not name. I'll get back to you next week. Birdie sponsors, we have Bob and Friedel Elder, and then Sandtrap sponsors, WNS, 1220 Business Solutions, John and Donna Schmidt, 2 for Dietz Nauman, Manchester Hardware, Julie Wheeler and Scott Burford, County Commissioners, Progressive Leadership, Blair and Susan Ansell, Attorney Karen Comrie, and Condor Media. We just secured the hole-in-one sponsor as Thornton Automotive, and our beverage sponsor is Brewery Products. I'm expecting a couple more. So if you have not heard your organization and plan to submit a sponsorship, just let us know. And there are more forms at the front. One thing that we're currently securing is this auction item, kind of auction in a box thing, where this company is sending us a whole bunch of items to do a silent auction. So we're going to add in that option. We just have to figure out kind of payment, how we can accept, because a lot of people don't bring cash. So we're currently in the works of that, but I'm hoping that that can bring us some additional revenue, and we'll get to our $20,000 goal. Thank you.
Thanks, Diana. Here too, just to reiterate, I mean, this is how we are able to give back to these organizations. So we're 3 weeks away. June the 17th is when our golf outing is. It's not that far away. We're down to kind of the wire of where it's kind of like we need to get things solidified. As Diana mentioned, we're maybe about $4,000 away, a little $4,000 away from that goal. So we do that in a number of ways. One is definitely our sponsorships. Another is the number of golfers that we have out. And those golfers, as they purchase their mulligans and other items for the auction items and whatever else, that all helps to go into the pot. And then we are doing this special thing where we're going to have some auction items available. So as much as what you can do to help us get to that $20,000 goal is going to help us to be able to give back to the organizations in the community. So let's see what we can do in 3 weeks. I know we can get there. It's always happened in the past. I know we're going to do it. I just like to feel a little more comfortable next week in saying that, oh yeah, we're that much closer and we don't have that much further to go. So thank you, Diana, for everything that you've been doing to pull this off. Does anybody have any other announcements for this morning? If not, I'm actually going to introduce our speaker for this morning, and it's our very own Scott Burford. Many of you have gotten to know Scott as he is a new member of our club. But I'm going to give a little bit of background, but Scott's also kind of doubling this up as a presentation for the Shriners organization, and also it's going to be his classification speech. So Scott Burford is an experienced, well-rounded leader, having over 33 years of executive level administration in both public and private sectors. Prior to his public service, he served 13 years in the private sector as a nursing home and hospital administrator. Over the years, Scott has served on a variety of insurance boards and committees, and he currently serves on the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania's Assessment and Taxation Committee and Local Government Committee. Scott is part owner of a small ski and outdoor retail shop here in East York. He and his business partners acquired the business in 2021 and converted what was a seasonal shop into a 4-season retail business, employing between 5 and 10 seasonal employees. With that, and I'm just going to say, if you get a chance to sit with Scott some morning, do it. I don't know how much he's going to share here in his classification speech, but he has a lot of different things that happened in his background, I guess is the best way to kind of say it. But without any further ado, I'm going to ask Scott, please come forward, and we look forward to hearing a little bit more about yourself and the Shriners. Please join me in welcoming Scott Burford.
Good morning, Yorkies.
Morning.
Fellow Rotarians, I guess I should say. It is a real pleasure to be here this morning. And as Greg pointed out, this is a dual purpose presentation. One, the so-called classification presentation, and also I'll pivot into the Shriners organization. But as Greg pointed out, I have over 33 or so years of executive level administrative experience. And that's equally balanced between the private sector and the public sector, basically. I'm originally from Southern West Virginia. I received my bachelor's degree in health services administration from West Virginia Tech. And immediately, I jumped into the nursing home field. I was hired by a regional chain of nursing homes to run a 60-bed facility. I was barely old enough to drink legally at the age of 21, and all of my direct reports when I first was hired were my parents' age. So I learned quickly that I was not the smartest person in the room, and I never will be. And I also learned that I have a lot to learn. And fortunately, that bodes well with my personality because I'm always learning. And I am a lifelong learner, and it's just one of those traits that I just absolutely love. And so I have a wide variety of interests, and perhaps some of that might be reflected a little later. But fast forward about 3 or 4 years or so, I decided that I wanted to form my own company. So I partnered up with a couple of other fellow nursing home administrators and a retiring pharmacist, and we decided to form a management company. So I had a healthcare management company in the late 90s, and we had contracts to operate healthcare facilities. And that's how I met my wife, my current wife. I was working along the Ohio River, and we met, and she was being transferred to Towson, Maryland. That's how I ended up in York County. I tagged along, and we purchased the house. We closed on that in 2003, and shortly thereafter got married. So that's how I ended up here in York. So you guys are stuck with me. I absolutely love South Central Pennsylvania, and growing up in West Virginia reminds me a lot of where I grew up. Just the culture, the people, absolutely love it here. And that, so segue into public sector. When I moved here, I was sharing office space in the south side of DC. I had partnered with some wholesale insurance brokers at the time, and they had challenged us, my company, to go out and survey facilities to determine whether they would want to underwrite policies for those facilities. So that's how I ended up in York professionally. And I was hired by Dauphin County. At that particular time, more counties than there are today were in the nursing home business. And Dauphin County being one, they were in search of an administrator. And I was getting tired of being on the road, frankly. And so I applied and was fortunate enough to be hired. And then shortly thereafter, the county sold their nursing home, and they opened up a position in their commissioner's office. So I was a county administrator up in Dauphin County for just under 20 years. So prior to making the decision to run for public elected office here in York County, that gave me a lot of background, a lot of experience in a very compressed, short period of time. So that's one of the reasons that motivated me to run for public office. I had reached most of my goals. I'm very goal-oriented. So I decided to run for public office. And so I was fortunate enough to be elected by the voters here in York to be a county commissioner in 2023. So that is my professional background. And along the way, I did receive a master's degree in health services administration from Penn State Harrisburg. I took 9 classes when I was working up in Dauphin County. And, you know, throughout my life, community service has always been very, very important to me. And growing up in Southern West Virginia, you know, small community, small town, you know, a lot of family, a lot of kinship, as you might imagine. Community service is extremely important. And there is no way without the help of community organizations, whether it be volunteerism, nonprofits, you pick an organization. We could not have the quality of life that we have without the Rotary clubs, the Shriners. All of our community efforts go into elevating our standards of living, because now I see it more than ever as an elected official. The unmet needs that we have in our community, there is no way that we could tax our citizens enough to pay for them. So it's incumbent upon all of us to dedicate some volunteer time to help our community. So that's my soapbox.
Hold on, Scott. We got to change our batteries. You just went dead. Okay. That's a lively presentation. We wouldn't want that. There you go. You're good. Thank you.
And I mentioned the community service, and that will segue into the Shriners piece of this. But just a few fun facts that I was sharing earlier. Some of my hobbies. I'm a lifelong skier. I'm a telemark skier. And growing up in West Virginia, I spent a lot of time on the slopes and off slopes. And also cycling is a big part of my life. And I used to do some amateur bicycle racing in a previous life. Bagpiping is a strong interest of mine that was mentioned earlier by Cher, and also rugby. When I was in school, I played a lot of sports, as many of you have over the years. And when I was in college, I played college soccer, played on the college soccer team and college tennis team. And after I graduated, I discovered the sport of rugby, and I was playing that up until I moved here, basically, into my early 30s. So it's a sport that I absolutely love, very passionate about it. I think I like the physicality of it the most. Stories for another day, I guess. But anyway, unless there are any questions of me, personally, I'm going to pivot into the Shriners piece of this. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm going to.
Okay. It still works. Yeah, I hear it.
Testing.
Yeah, you're good.
I was joking earlier. You can't be a Shriner without a little bling. There are a number of you in here that have direct or indirect affiliations with the Shriners. And so a lot of this may be repetitive for you. But, when I mentioned to you that that community service is extremely important to me, this dates back to growing up as a child, but also I was first exposed to the Shriners when I was 16. Some friends of mine, I was a wrestler in high school, and friends of mine went off on a weekend trip to a family farm, and the farmhouse burned down. And 7 of my closest friends were in that farmhouse. 1 perished, 5 of which received treatment from the Cincinnati Shriners Hospital, and 2 of which were unharmed. So at an early age, I realized what the Shriners organization was all about. 16 years old, being in remote rural West Virginia, I learned quickly what the Shriners were about because most of my closest friends were exposed to the Shriners. And the Shriners in Charleston, West Virginia, near where I grew up, transferred and transported my friends and their parents to and from Cincinnati daily for a couple of weeks while they were receiving treatment. So that's my personal connection. And I knew at an early age that I wanted to give back and be a part of that organization. And so I became a Mason. And these symbols here on the very first slide, you may be familiar with these symbols. The one to your left, that is the Masonic symbol. To be a Shriner, you must be a Mason. And there are certain catechisms to elevate yourself to a Master Mason level. And you will see that emblem sometimes on cars. As you're driving along, you will see that emblem. So when you see that, you know that the owner of that vehicle is amazing. And, it's funny, as I was preparing for this presentation, 15, 20 years ago, we would not be having this type of conversation. Masonic, Masonic principles, very quiet, very low key. We have certain principles that guide us, certain value systems, and self-promotion was never a part of them. To be a Mason, back when I became a Mason, you had to approach a Mason to ask them to be a member. And as we have learned, being Rotarians and you name it, membership is dwindling in just about every organization that most of us grew up with, the Lions Club, the Shriners, the membership numbers are dropping. And so the Masons, we have nothing to hide. We certainly do have certain things that we keep sacred, but the premise of Masonry is to promote the values that we all share. And so now we're starting to promote and do more of this type of thing. So the other symbol in the middle, that is the fraternal side of Shrine. The Shrine, which I will get into in just a moment, we have a fraternal side, and then we have the philanthropy side, which I'll get to in a minute. The fez to the far right, and that's what I'm wearing now, that is the philanthropy side of the organization. And that is, and I'll get into that in just a few minutes as to how we adopted the fez. Back to the Masonic Lodge, it's one of the oldest fraternal organizations in the world. Masonry started, modern Masonry, I should qualify that, started in 1717. The first lodge was chartered in England, and then it moved, the first chartered lodge in America was in 1730s, and that was St. John's Lodge in Boston. The Shriners organization was formed in the late 1800s. And who are the Shriners? This was an old acronym, Ancient Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine. Now, some of you may remember, what was the entertainer's, Ray Stevens. Does anyone remember the singer Ray Stevens? He had a Shrine Parade song. Anyway, for those, that might be something you might want to YouTube. But anyway, Ancient Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine. The shrine was organized or credited by being organized by two gentlemen. One was a medical doctor, Walter Fleming. The other was a playwright. His name was Billy Florence. And they were two Masons, and they were good friends, and they were traveling the world. This would have been back in the 1800s. And they were in the Middle East, went through Morocco, and had an epiphany. They decided, oh my goodness, there is a fez. That's uncommon in America. Let's start to put some, fun and fellowship around Masonry. Masonry is just way too organized, and we want to have a little fun and fellowship. So those two guys are the two that are credited for the shrine. Then, and these guys were located out of the New York City lodge at the time called Mecca. And they developed all of the principles that guide Shriners today. You must be a Master Mason to be a Shriner, as I mentioned. And bringing it home a little locally, I'm going to give you a jurisdiction. Focusing just on Pennsylvania, I'm asked from time to time structurally, how does the Shrine operate? We are an international organization. And here are the jurisdictions for the shrines in Pennsylvania. You'll see up by Erie, geographically upper left, light green, that shrine is Zim. And down by Pittsburgh is Syria. And in the middle, I'll call that some sort of brown, dark brown, that's Jaffa. That shrine is in Altoona. Northeast is Iram. And for those who can't see, Raja is in the far right in yellow and also blue. And Lulu is down by Philadelphia. And Zimbo is purple, South Central Pennsylvania. The counties that are in yellow, those are plural counties. So they can belong to any of those contiguous jurisdictions. So you'll see Lancaster. We have a lot of folks that belong to Zimbo, for instance, that live in Lancaster, but they have the ability jurisdictionally to join the Raja Shrine as well. Join both or one or the other. So that just gives you a graphical representation. So I mentioned earlier the difference or how Shriners break out. One is the fraternal side, that's the fun and fellowship side. And I took just a snippet of different clubs and units that are within the Shrine. These are the guys you see driving around in the parades in the mini cars, the little yellow mini cars. Some of you may have seen those. That's the fraternal side. That's you know, we often joke that is grown men acting like youthful, you know, like a bunch of kids. That is the Shriners. So clubs, give you for instance, we have a local club, the York County Shrine Club. I'm the past president of that, and we have a number of folks here that are familiar with the York County Club, Lancaster, Franklin, and so forth. Units, mentioned the mini cars and also the claimants. On the philanthropy side, hospitals, clinics, and clinic research. And we have, oh, let me jump into the fraternal side. So here are some of the fun events that we do. I just grabbed a few pictures. Yours truly in the upper left there, that is, we had a derby day up at the Shrine Center at Zimbo in Harrisburg. And then off the upper right, you may see a familiar face, a member here of our Rotarian Club. That was taken at a function over in Gettysburg a couple of years ago, John. And then lower left, you may recognize that face too. Last year, I was the president of our local club, and I had this little fun event. It was Mr. Valentine. We had a Mr. Valentine competition, and all of the ladies, it was a ladies' night, so all the ladies could vote on their, you know, who would be Mr. Valentine. So you had to be a Shriner to be eligible. And the winner last year was John Cassee. Some of you may know John, Wendy's dad. And so that's a picture of him holding up his scepter with the big heart. And then off to the right, that is that's Joan, my wife, there in the front left. But that is a mini golf outing up at Zimbo. That was another fundraiser for the fraternal side of the operation. And let's see, philanthropy. Back in the turn of the century, I should say the 20th century, the Shriners, you know, they realized that, you know, beyond fun and fellowship, we need to have a mission. And that's when they decided to jump into the healthcare space. So the Shriners opened their first hospital in 1922 in Shreveport, Louisiana. And since that time, we have expanded our services, and we offer orthopedic services, spine services, cleft lip and palate, and burn services, as I mentioned earlier. And we also do a fair amount of sports injuries. And back when we first started this venture, all of the care was free. And up until 2012 or so, we decided that, you know, we will treat our children regardless of their ability to pay. So we pivoted at that point because fundraising is challenging. We're competing against many of the same dollars as very many worthy causes. So we decided to start billing insurances too for those who have insurance, but we would never turn away a child who needs care. And we also started opening up clinics across the world internationally. We have 22 hospitals over 3 countries. And beyond that, we have clinics. And here's a heat map of the different hospitals that we have in North America. You'll notice Mexico City down at the bottom. Then we have one in Montreal, Quebec, upper right. All the other hospitals are in the United States. I have visited a few. I make it a point to, when I'm traveling, to try my best to visit a local hospital. When it's not too logistically challenging, I take along my fez. Because when you walk into a hospital with your fez on and we are treating patients and these children see our fez, it's the most rewarding feeling you can have. When they're being fitted for prosthetic devices. So I mentioned we have 100 clinics across the world. I am fortunate to have been appointed to the Philadelphia Hospital Board back in 2022. And it was quite an honor. It was something I have been, that was a goal of mine, to work hard and hopefully get recognized. And I am one of 17 board members at Philadelphia Hospital. Now, the jurisdiction for the Philadelphia Hospital stretches from Connecticut all the way down to Richmond, Virginia. So all of the shrine centers that I pointed out in Pennsylvania, well, expand that to every state from Connecticut to Virginia. And the hospital selects 17 board members. It's a 3-year term. And so I was very, very fortunate to be selected for that. And we have clinics just out of Philadelphia. We have clinics in Cyprus and also Puerto Rico. Our most recent clinic in Puerto Rico, we scheduled 400 patients to be seen over the course of a weekend. So those who are in the medical field, you can appreciate the mass volume that we see. They are working 12, 14-hour days, assessing kids. And then they return, our clinicians return to Philadelphia. We do the workup on the devices based on the measurements that we took. And then we return to Puerto Rico and attach and apply the devices. So a lot of work goes into that. So Shriners Philadelphia, interesting story, and it's not unique. This story, I'm sure, could be replicated in other Shriner hospitals. We had a mayor of Philadelphia at the time, Mayor Kendrick. He was a Shriner, and he wanted a hospital in Philadelphia. And so he leveraged his influence and convinced the Shriners to open up a hospital in Philadelphia in 1926. We are now located physically right across the street from Temple University's Medical Center. And over the years, Shriners' delivery of care has morphed into, we've always been academic, we've always been research-centered, but we have learned, and as many of you can understand, we no longer have a lot of inpatient stays. A lot of our services are outpatient. So we partner with academic institutions like Temple, for instance, and we do our outpatient, and if the child needs to stay overnight, we partner with Temple to move them across the street to the hospital based on where we are in the recovery effort. We have partnerships, of course, with Temple and all of the surrounding health systems. Now, one of the things that we are a volunteer organization. No one gets paid for this. No one reimburses me for my travel or anything of that nature. We do transport children here from York County and have done so for a number of years. We have dedicated group of drivers. And this is just a snapshot of a couple of drivers. The one guy is from Perry County, one Dauphin, and one Cumberland. We have a number of drivers here in York County, but I was struggling, I'll confess, to grab a picture of those guys. Silent Messenger. I just wanted to point this out. Some of you may be familiar with the Silent Messenger. This was a product, just happenstance. There was a Shriner in a parade up in Indiana, Evansville, Indiana, in 1970. And he had just finished the parade, and one of our patients was struggling to walk back. And he picked her up and just carried her, and by happenstance, a local photographer snapped the photo, and that became the statue that we have now been using since 1970. Local fundraising, to bring this back home, up in the upper left, just to point this picture out, this is a local technical center up in Mifflin County. Earlier this past week, I traveled up there to meet with a bunch of students before their term ended. They collected over 100 can tabs, aluminum can tabs. And what we do, we take those tabs and recycle them and make those a donation to our hospital. So I traveled up there with a gentleman off to the left from Perry County. Yours truly is off to the right there, and that was a picture of the class. they collected tabs all year long. It's quite a mission. A circus, Shriners are known for their circuses, although they have morphed over the years. We no longer have the exotic animals like we did back in the day. We have a lot of talented acts, though, and we continue to have our circus at Zimbo. And off to the left, lower left, that is a picture of me with Leonard Skinner. Some of you may recognize Leonard Skinner. We are so fortunate with Shriners that we partner from time to time with music groups, and they will adopt the Shriners as their mission for the year. So we get a proceed for their ticket sales. And this picture was taken up at Hershey Park. I've been leading a fundraising effort since 2017 to sell CDs. Now, CDs are really kind of out of favor anymore. It's hard to even buy a CD player. You can't buy a car anymore with a CD player. However, people still are buying them, believe it or not. But anyway, I share that with you to only highlight this weekend coming up is another fundraising effort. We have Rock the Country coming in to Fairgrounds. We heard Pat Ball talk just a couple of weeks ago, and Kid Rock. Kid Rock is the headliner, and he selected the Shriners. So we will be selling CDs at the concert, both Friday night and Saturday night. And, if anyone would like to volunteer to help the Shriners out, I will put you to work. And, the report time is 3 o'clock, and I'll release you at 9. So it's a long day, a lot of walking, but you will have fun. Anyway, the Kid Rock and all of the supporting artists, they agreed to give us a percentage of the CD sales, which is very, very nice. It goes a long way. And that goes directly to Philadelphia. It doesn't go to our international company. Off to the lower right, that's a picture at another fundraising activity that we have are clay shoots. We will have a clay shoot that was taken at Warrington Clay, Sporting Clays a couple of years ago. And so clay shoots, circuses, you name it, we might be out there fundraising. To give you kind of a perspective, the circus, we bring in just about 20,000 at our circus. The gun raffles, we still bring in about 15,000 depending on the venue. Fundraiser, this is on the philanthropy side. Ooh, I'm running over. So I'll blaze through this. This was a picture taken. We have an annual event over in New Jersey, and that is yours truly presenting a check on behalf of the York County Shrine Club for $12,000 just for that particular event. That night, we raised over $400,000 for the Shriners, just in Philadelphia. I won't show this video, but one of the things that we always try to do is stay on the cutting edge of technology. We last year made a conscious effort to replace our x-ray machine. As you can imagine, the children receive a number of x-rays throughout the course of their stay and treatment. And this particular machine is a new model from Siemens, and it is phenomenal. You can have multiple exposures and there's no health risk to the child. Picture of the Board of Governors. That is on the 9th floor of the hospital. And blazing through this, I want to leave just a little bit of time. It's contact information. So I will stop there. Any questions of me? Sorry, I had to blaze through that so quickly. Yes. Just like any organization, I will say that the Shriners could not do it without the ladies. I can say that from a personal level. I've been involved an extraordinary amount of time, and without Joan, there's no way I could have done it. There are other sorority sides, companion sororities, such as the Daughters of the Nile and the Eastern Star. Those are organizations that are formal, that ladies can get involved in. But informally, there's always support from the ladies with the Shrine. So there's a lot of fundraising efforts that the women can get involved in. They may not be recognized as a Shriner, but every Shriner that I know will recognize the ladies as a integral part of what we do. No way we can do without it. There's also a ladies' shrine too. So there is the formal sorority structure in place. We have some restrictions on parades and that sort of thing with respect to ladies' involvement, but by and large, there's nothing we don't do without the ladies. Any other questions? Thank you very much. We do have our own golf outing coming up at Regents Glen on June 9th. It's a Monday. So if any of you want, I think all the, if any of you would like to get involved in that, you're certainly welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, for your information on your background. Seriously, if you get a chance to sit with Scott, it's kind of like, it's interesting to hear, oh, you get involved with that, you've been involved with that. And he'll say in a previous life, but you can kind of tell, I think it's still a passion of his. So let's give Scott a nice round of applause for both his presentation and information. I know we ran a little bit over. I think it was important to kind of hear the information that was presented. Congratulations to all of our grant recipients. We would ask if you would stick around here. We want to get some photos after our meeting. And I hope that everyone has a great, enjoyable week, and we'll see you again next week.